OpenClaw is one of the most powerful automation tools I've seen in 2026. But if you automate the wrong thing with it, you can literally destroy your business reputation overnight. So I tested OpenClaw, and for 10 days, I pushed it through real workflows that actually impact your business. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 things OpenClaw does insanely well and the 5 automations you should never let it run. So if you're new here, I'm Amadou. I build AI automation systems for businesses to eliminate internal bottlenecks and save team hours every week. This isn't theory, this is based on what actually works in real-world deployments. Let's break it down. So let's get straight into the first 5 use cases that you should definitely be using OpenClaw for. So the first being a research assistant. This is essentially going to act as your own analyst to do any type of research on any specific topics that you provide for your business. Essentially going to condense what would be 10 hours of work into only 10 minutes. So choosing a topic, then OpenClaw does deep research on a number of different sources, and then get a summary and brief in any type of format, including PDF, spreadsheets, or any detailed documents that you prefer. So this is different because it scours the internet fast on different types of sources, including websites, different PDF files, or things of that nature that you wouldn't normally have access to with regular agents. So it remembers your business as well with context and also the niche that you're in. And also, like I mentioned, outputs clean deliverables in many different formats. What you get is, for example, 10-page research briefs, competitor and pricing breakdowns, lead lists plus enrichment spreadsheets, and also market maps and trend reports. So these are really high technical output that you would normally have to hire someone in-house to do. So like I mentioned, some examples like researching trends, researching companies with specific criteria, and also any breakdown on competitors with pricing, offers, funnel, and positioning. So as this is the first use case, we see that this contains high value for any type of business model. So the next use case is going to be having OpenClaw act as an ops team and really check if there's any system downtime and really monitor any site issues within your system. So this is able to really detect downtime instantly and run automated checks with ping statuses, pages, and logs, and create tickets with contacts, and then also finally escalate it to the right person. So this is really useful if you have team members that might be offline for a bit, or you really have a mission critical system that you need to keep up for your employees and customers. A lot of the massive value outputs really revolve around seeing what broke and why, and then seeing how you can detect what changed right before it broke and what are the likely causes before that. So you're able to make data-driven decisions so things like this don't happen in the future. Some examples might be Stripe webhooks failing, end-to-end workflow errors, or even API rate limits. So this would prove valuable for any type of business that has many mission critical systems in place. Moving on to the next use case is a lead gen researcher. So this is kind of similar to the first use case that we mentioned, but this is more tailored to really lead generation and enrichment. So looking at, for example, industry and location, OpenClaw can find prospects and then lead brief plus personalization for each lead. So what you get is a spreadsheet of leads, for example, in the range of 50 to 200. It can even be more. You get decision maker research from a multitude of different types of sources, and then company pain points for that specific company or industry that you're working in, and also any trigger events. So on top of this, you get personalized outreach angles that you can use for different channels like LinkedIn and different type of social media platforms. So a lot of the value comes from OpenClaw being able to answer why this company is a perfect fit, the current tools, and also any suggested offer for any messages and drafts that you might want to include. Some examples might be finding 50 law firms hiring intake staff, any med spas spending on ads, and HVAC companies scaling locations. So you get a really detailed lead list on any type of criteria that you'd want to search for yourself. Moving on is BI reporting. This can be some sort of executive dashboard that your team would want to look at and pull in different types of data from many different sources that OpenClaw can reference. So for example, we have Stripe, any CRM and ads that OpenClaw can analyze and then turn into any weekly business reporting. So what you get, like I said, weekly KPI summaries, revenue drivers and any drop-offs, pipeline movement, plus forecasts, and any action items for the next week. So a lot of the value here is derived from seeing what changed week by week, and then any top 3 risks, identifying opportunities and what to fix first, And some examples might be why conversions dropped, which offer is winning, and which channel is bleeding money. So these are things that you would typically have to meet or discuss during any type of sprint. But now OpenClaw is able to detect your workflow and identify things that you could use in these weekly executive dashboards. So making really useful time for your team to focus on other things that really drive the business forward. So moving on, competitive intelligence, right? So really using OpenClaw as a deep researcher in specific domains, right? This is a common trend that we're seeing within the other use cases, but now we're focusing on competitive research, right? So you have your competitor URL, OpenClaw can monitor 24/7, detect any changes within their positioning, marketing, or any job postings, for example. So what you get is going to notice any price changes, right? Any new features, landing pages, and new job postings that signal any growth that the company might have. So any messaging shifts, any positioning, and new ads and promotions that they might be running on their channel. A lot of the value here is derived from what changed, why it matters, and how to respond. So you can have internal meetings with your team to decide what's the next move. So for example, your competitor launched a 99-month plan that might signal a new domain that they're trying to target, and they're hiring new AI engineers to really signal that they're trying to move more or they're bullish in AI itself. And for example, like a new landing page targeting your niche. So all these things and signs that you may consider very discreet or you might not have time to really look at, OpenClaw is able to dig deep and identify those 24/7 over a multitude of different competitors, giving you an edge. Now that we covered the 5 use cases that you should implement, now I think it's about time that we cover the 5 you shouldn't use OpenClaw for in your business. So to start, you shouldn't let OpenClaw auto post on social media. This definitely goes against the grain in what's contrary, right? But I think using auto post within OpenClaw is definitely going to have some red flags. So for example, OpenClaw can post and then you have a wrong claim that goes public and then screenshots spread and now your reputation is damaged, right? And I think as a business, your reputation is the thing that you really value the most. And then this is dangerous because OpenClaw can hallucinate a lot and then these become permanent when you have auto posting on your social media platforms. And one bad post can equal trust loss between your employees and your clients as well. So I think this is something that you should be wary of if you want to have some sort of features enabled where OpenClaw can use your social media accounts. So I'll cover some examples like wrong legal advice, fake client stories, fake numbers, and stuff like that. And a safer alternative is to only use OpenClaw to create drafts for your social media accounts and then get some eyes on it for human approval. So at the same time, you're still not spending as much time doing any social media posting because you kind of delegate that to OpenClaw. But now you've added a human in the loop to really review any changes before they're finalized. Moving on to the next use case you shouldn't let OpenClaw do is never send emails from your main domain. Now, OpenClaw has access to many of your different platforms that you might use in your day-to-day, including emails. And let's say the agent sends emails, and then now they're flagged as spam, and now your domain reputation drops and your emails suffer account of that. So this is dangerous because your team's emails go to spam, so they never reach your intended receiver. And now Gmail and Outlook flag your domain, which is what you probably use internally to operate your business. And now you lose client trust instantly. So a safer alternative is to use warm subdomains that include your company name, but aren't the direct domain that you use to operate your business. And you want to start with a lower volume and see kind of where the reputation is going. And if you have any providers like Instantly See, you can track any bounced emails and stuff like that. What you would want to do also is review this with a human for the first 2 weeks and see where things are going before you make any permanent changes. Moving on to the next is never fully automate customer support replies. So I've seen a few use cases and instances where people have done it successfully, but I think they've been really diligent in their kind of deployment of this feature. So I think the way you'd want to do it is really focus on getting some reps available and like letting OpenClaw really handle specific tasks before you kind of let them go rampant on your whole customer support team. So let's dive into it. So for this, customers ask, right, a question, and then your AI replies confidently, and it might give the wrong answer. And then this might lead to a refund, dispute, or lawsuit. And then the customer can also quote this saying, oh, your employee told me this in the customer service chat that we had. And they don't know to their knowledge that they were chatting with the AI agent. So this is dangerous because there's refund liability, any compliance and legal risk, and also customer trust collapses because they felt that they were talking to your business and employees directly. AI may also invent any policies as well. So a safer alternative is to auto-classify and auto-draft in responses, depending on different levels of critical messages and different types of things that the employee or client might bring up. And then humans approve the responses before they're sent out, right? And then you might want to auto-escalate any angry customers, right? So letting AI do the triage and not letting AI make promises to your customers. The next use case is to never allow autocode commits to production. So I think this is self-explanatory, right? Because in our typical daily workflows, we always want to push to a main environment that's going to be overlooked or oversaw by anyone more senior. So agents typically don't want to be committing things to production. And then let's say there's a bug that ships and now your production breaks and now there's an outage and data risk. So this is clearly dangerous because there's security vulnerabilities, breaking dependencies, data loss, and downtime that equals lost revenue. A safer alternative is going to have AI create PRs and then have AI write tests before they're even deployed. And now, like I said, having a human in the loop that approves the merge before they push to production. We all know that AI can write fabulous code, but it can't understand your system consequences. So this is why you shouldn't let AI or any OpenClaw agent push anything to production. So moving on to the final is never let AI make financial decisions. I know AI has a lot of context when it comes to just making a ton of decisions in any sort of fashion, but I think financially, every business is different and unique. So you can have AI or OpenClaw make any decisions on its own with something of such importance. So AI can typically categorize a transaction with the wrong assumption, which might lead to any tax issues and compliance nightmares that you might have down the road. So this is dangerous because bad accounting categorization might lead to wrong forecasting, overpaying, underpaying vendors, and tax reporting problems. Any safer alternatives would be flagging anomalies, generating reports, recommended actions, and humans making the final decision when it comes to any action items that the AI might suggest. So AI can tell you that spending is high, but it shouldn't tell you or decide what to cut. The common thread that we see is that you can take any advice from AI, but I think before it's able to act, there should be a step where a human is in the loop and make sure that any of the final changes are approved before they're autonomously made by any agents. To summarize, these are some really good use cases that you could use for your OpenClaw agents, but there's also some things you should keep in mind before you kind of let them run rampant. So some rules of thumb that I like to show are, you should use AI to gather and summarize and flag different things, and you shouldn't let AI publish, promise, and decide for your business. So these are things that I think when you keep in mind, you can successfully and get a high ROI when you introduce agents like OpenClaw into your business, but you should definitely be more precautious and kind of scale your trust as you begin to use them more. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next video.